Bethel AME Church in Jamaica Plain has begun a series of breakfast meetings on youth at risk. The meetings for business and community leaders are about ways to increase opportunities for youth and prevent violence. The series comes after the opening of a new youth center at the church, and it comes before another event later this fall, a celebration of the church's 25th anniversary. To bring us up to date are the two co-pastors of the church, Reverends Hammond and Gloria Hammond. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be here.
I want to start with Reverend Hammond about this particular youth center that you got going in the church. What's going on there?
Well, we've got a, I think, exciting list of things, really building on programs we've been doing for the past 20 years. It's going to involve an even closer collaboration with a local high school, English high school, which is very close to our church. We're looking forward to offering some computer training programs, academic support programs, and some of the continued work we've done for many years around mental health support, guidance counseling, group work, and working with kids who are both in the high-risk, proven risk category and newcomers, newly immigrant groups, and so on. So we're very excited about the kind of things that will be going on there, building on what we've done in the past, and we hope going forward doing even more with more kids.
And I guess there must be a place here for mentoring, too.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that I think we're thinking a lot about, and it's one of the things we're hoping to come out of these breakfasts, is not just people who will support this particular event or raise funds. We need the funds, as most organizations do our work. But we're also trying to figure out how to raise, not only, as we say, funds, but friends. Raise volunteers, engage more people from downtown and suburban communities who really want to come alongside urban communities and figure out ways that they can plug in and help. So mentoring is clearly one part of it. Tutoring, there's a number of things we're looking to do.
So Reverend Gloria Hammond, going back a ways, you had a program set up called Do the Right Thing. Talk about that and how that got started.
Sure. Well, I was practicing medicine in one of Boston's most challenged neighborhoods in the South End, and seeing young people from around the city. That was in 1994, and at the time, something like 70% of our obstetrical practice was comprised of young girls who were under the age of 16. Most of those girls were not going to be able to finish school. We saw that the violence in the city was really escalating. And so it occurred to me that it would be a great opportunity to work with many of these young girls. A number of them were the girlfriends of the gangbangers. So we started Do the Right Thing, a creative writing mentoring program that focused on creative writing as a vehicle for expression.
What did that do for these young women?
Well, I think more than anything, just like Ray has said, what really matters in working with young people are relationships. And again, we use creative writing as a vehicle, but what we came to appreciate over the years that we were doing it was that what really drew the kids was not so much the opportunity to write, that was important, but it was being in relationship with caring, committed adults who were going to be there consistently. And we found that the church in particular was a great space for that, because it's a place that operates 24/7 and throughout the entire year. So that was the beginning of a great work that's continued to grow.
You know, two other things I'd add, because I think Gloria's point about the need for relationship with caring adults is crucial. I think what we also learned was that kids needed a place where they could process some of the trauma and strains and stresses they'd already experienced in life. For many of the young women, the writing and the then later performing arts became a great way to do that and to talk about things in many cases they hadn't talked about with anyone other than maybe other young people, perhaps, maybe not even that. And the third thing that I think we also discovered was it was a great venue to give kids other skills. They're not just academic skills that could help them do better in school, but life skills. How do you negotiate conflict in another way? How might you build healthy relationships? How do you deal with the work world? I mean, there were just a lot of things that we often assume people come to, easily, and in fact, they need help sometimes in acquiring those skills that are going to be able to make them not only cope with life, but really become able to excel.
Well, we're talking about the importance of processing things when it's in concert with other people, because you can go through a rough patch and you process at least part of it in your own head, but there's part of it you have to talk to somebody else about, and it's someone you can trust too.
Absolutely. And we found that over and over again, that in this case the girls just wanted to be able to talk about it, with their friends, and to have a safe space to do that. But again, to talk about it with older people who had wisdom. And we found for girls, it wasn't just talking with older women, it was also talking with men. So one of the key relationships they had was with my husband, who would simply come in and listen to their readings. And for many of them, it was the first time that they were affirmed by a man for being something other than a sexual being. And so they very much looked forward to having those kinds of healthy conversations.
Reverend, since the both of you have been at this church, we have seen ups and downs in the city, especially around violence. We've seen things that looked very promising, and then that faded, something else came up. What about right now? I mean, there seem to be fewer victims who are really in their young teens, but we're also hearing about more guns and more shootings in the city.
And the reality is we're going to see those ebbs and flows, because they're driven by what's happening in terms of the availability of guns. They're driven by, you know, who's operating on the street, what drugs, what other revenue streams are available, who's at war with whom. I mean, there's a lot, who's in prison, who's out. I mean, there are a lot of things that are going to have an impact on the ebb and flow of it. I'm encouraged, because in spite of the fact that we've seen significant decreases in the amount of funding available and support for programs, as a city compared to many other cities, we're doing reasonably well. That said, none of us is satisfied with the shootings that we're seeing, or any homicide, younger or older. And I think part of what many people are looking at now is, and I think I see this among many community-based and faith-based groups, they're really sitting down and asking, how do we take the resources that we have and use them even better? How do we become more efficient, more effective? What are the interventions that are going to be most helpful and useful? What do each of us bring to the table that we need to really focus on and leverage as we work together? So I think there's a lot of conversations going on around that theme, how we do this better.
Gloria, Hammond, what about the role of the church? After these 25 years, do you feel that you really feel affirmed that the church is making a difference, doing something that cannot be done by other parties here?
Yeah, I really do. And again, we see ourselves as being in partnership with a number of entities in the city. But again, what the church offers, it's not just a 9-to-5 operation. You will graduate from schools, but you don't graduate from churches. And it's a place that tends to be heavily resourced with other people who have other skills. So for example, when one of our girls had some issues with their landlord, we had an attorney who was available to help them resolve some of those issues. Or when a mother recognized that she couldn't read, a teacher in the congregation who helped her to learn to read. So it's providing a number of resources, one-stop shopping, if you will, at least in terms of the church. And again, it's a cradle-to-grave operation.
We have a little time, Reverend Ray Hammond, but we should mention coming up later this fall, that
That's
celebration of the 25th.
Yeah, we're extending an invitation to the entire community to join us as we celebrate our 25th anniversary, but more than that, a 25th anniversary of partnerships with other churches, with agencies, public service, private sector. This will be at the Park Plaza Hotel, December 4th at 7 o'clock. We're looking forward to Paul Farmer joining us for that event. And for those who want more detail, it's on the web at avatt.org. That's for A Voice at the Table, avatt.org, and they can get more information about it.
Thank you both very much, Reverends Ray Hammond and Gloria Hammond from Bethel AME Church.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.